Hi everybody, how you doing this morning? You know where I'm at? I'm in Dallas, Texas. And we came down here to meet a young lady by the name of Tina that's going to help us put some things together for you, the listening audience, to be able to come online and actually come to school and classes with me and Billy Sue. And this morning, I'm just going to do a short presentation. One of the schools that we have is called Kings and Priests in the Financial Realm. And one of the things we've got to realize, the financial realm is in two areas. One is spiritual, but one's the natural realm. And a lot of us has been taught things in the spiritual realm on tithing and tithing and tithing and giving and tithing and receiving and seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness and all these things be added to you. That's all good, but in Kings and Priests in the financial realm, you got to realize what we're going to teach you is not only the spiritual realm, but the natural realm. The things I want to teach you in the natural realms quickly is it takes quite some time. The school will really lay this thing out to you, but our nation was absolutely deceived many years ago, and you study in the early 1900s how things was going. But there was a group back in the late 1800s that was masterminding the takeover of the banking industry in the United States of America. And there was an island that was called Jekyll Island. And at Jekyll Island, Rockefeller, Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, a lot of guys that had tremendous wealth came into our nation that was here that made tremendous amount of money. They actually owned these families 1/6 of the world's wealth in the world. Now that's pretty hard to imagine, but that's how much they controlled these families that came to Jekyll Island to mastermind the FDIC, and how they took and literally started pouring money into banks, into private banking, and how they literally took the stock market sky high. They broke the stock market, turned around and released more money into banks to lend more money. And what they did, the banks had what they called notes and mortgages, just like when you buy a house, you sign a note and you got a mortgage. But back in those days, that a note could be called anytime the bank wanted to call it. And a lot of people, like my father and my grandfather and different ones, used to always say, you can't trust them bankers, you can't trust them, you can't trust them bankers. And what actually took place is when the crash came, and I'll teach this really hard in the school, is that when the crash came, everybody ran to the banks to get the money, and the banks literally closed the doors. And then what they did to survive, they started foreclosing on everybody. You could be ahead on your payments, on your farmland, on your businesses, on everything you owned. And guess what took place? Didn't make any difference. They would foreclose because they wanted the money, and then once they foreclosed on your property, they sold that property to get money to throw in the bank for the bank, stay alive. Well, through this whole disaster, the Depression, what took place, the FDIC was called the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. And you know what they did? They literally took an advantage and they set up a way to print money. Back in the old days, you had money that said silver certificates or gold certificates. And what they did, they took all their cash of selling all their stocks, and guess what they wanted was the gold. They controlled the gold. And the President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, got a hold of them and says, we need help, and they masterminded the FDIC. In so doing, they could print money for the United States government that was just paper money backed by no gold, no silver, no nothing, and they charged interest on funny money. And on that funny money, guess what happens? All it was paper. And if you look at a dollar bill today, it says this note is legal and tender to pay debt. It's not backed by anything. So folks, kings and priests, I'm going to show you two areas in life that we really, truly need to understand. The natural realm of how banks literally put us into slavery of debt on things that is a spiritual act that puts us, because over in Proverbs 22 verse 6 it says to train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old they'll not depart from it. But the next verse says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is what? A slave to the lender. What we want to teach you is how to be free. So God bless you guys, and you have a great day.